Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now let's hear it for our special guest host, Jake and VeRae Joseph.
Hey, what is going on, the Alliance family? We are Jake and VeRae Joseph out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Fired up to be here. Oh my gosh, being able to have the opportunity to host this call is insane. It is insane. So, hey, thank you all for being on here. I know it should all. We're going to talk about some cool tools today and some resources. So part of it we'll touch on. But thank you for having this in your schedule. Andy Riddle had lit everyone up on Wednesday, and Marcus Richardson on yesterday. And so we are just fired up to be here. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jane, for giving us this opportunity to share some things today and to speak to the company. And we're just going to make sure we hit some key points and help some people out. I know we've got a lot of. I know usually when we get to host these types of calls, basically means that Andy is firing up his jet, the N247 jet, and flying around the country, serving the team, serving everyone. And so we know that he is ramping up here, and we've actually got the opportunity to host him here in Albuquerque. So we're super fired up for that. Kind of going over, kicking off just with this week. I know we've got some heavy hitters who are investing in their businesses, who are going to be traveling. So wanted to be able to pull this up. For anyone new, maybe this is your first call, you're new to the company, this resource here, theallianceevents.com, as you can see, you can just plug that straight into your web browser. This is such an amazing resource, such an amazing tool as a new agent, as a new leader helping to promote these events. So as you can see here, we've got some huge leaders like Stephen Davies and Sabrina Floyd right there in Dallas coming up on the 14th. They've got a little register link there, so definitely want to register. You got Mr. Alex Avian on the 14th in Speedway, Indiana. Some bigger ones that we definitely wanted to touch on the 15th in Houston, Texas. The names that are on this is insane. We got Andy Albright, our CEO and president. We got Mr. Stephen Davies, the number one producer, Megan Wood, Brandon Manley, the Noel Leventovich, Spencer Albright, Carriers. Like, this is, you do not want to miss this. This is going to be insane. I know we've got some AEP rollouts. And then I believe they're actually gonna make a stop. We're super fired up here in Albuquerque with that same group of people, and they're gonna duplicate and copy that up there in Denver. So don't want to go through every single one of these, but definitely check out theallianceevents.com to make sure you're up to date on every single upcoming hotspot, every single upcoming boot camp training. Okay. The next thing we wanted to do is some recognition. I'll let VeRae read off some of these names, but I remember these all expense paid trips. Every year, we've got all expense paid trips. We're going to be going to Alaska on the cruise, watching the icebergs calve, doing dog sled racing, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I remember when we first started, we were waiting for the moment for when VeRae and I earned our first trip. And I remember, I think I've got a recording on my phone of Mr. Adam Katz announcing our name, and we were just super fired up. So as a new person, you definitely want to fight to get your name called on one of these activity calls of the TWC. But I'll let VeRae go ahead and announce the newest earners of the all expense paid trip.
Yes, so congratulations to these people. I will just say real quick, you guys, if you do not have your new people on this call, you're going to want to get them on. Who are you sending that extra text to? We've got a lineup of people that are just killing it, that are rookies in this business on this call with us today. So be sending those text messages out. It's worth it to get one more on this call. But congratulations for the agent contest. So Mike and Kate Marisi, trip for two. So there you go. Congratulations, Mike and Kate. We're so excited to be in Alaska with you guys. You guys have been some of our best friends on these other trips. Managers contest. So, you get to earn this trip a couple ways, through your production as well as helping your team earn this trip, right? So Mike and Noel Leventovich, some of our mentors, congratulations, trip for two. Alex Avian, who hired Mike and Noel Leventovich, trip for two. Can't wait to see you and Ginny out there. Terry and Tia Edwards, good job, guys. Trip for two on the manager side. Brandon and Haley Manley, you guys have earned the trip for two. Andy Riddle and Angela Riddle, Trip for Two, and then our really good buddies in this business, Joseph and Venus Duke. So happy for you guys. I can't wait to be on that cruise ship with you guys, sipping coffee in the morning. But you guys have earned the Trip for Two. So give yourself a pat on the back. Let's see how many more people we can get on this trip with us. So good job, guys.
I can't believe we got to announce those names.
I know.
That's a privilege right there. I mean, to be able to call some of those names out, that's insane. So, well, hey, again, Jake and VeRae Joseph out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico. We've been with the company now almost 5 years, and it's crazy to find an opportunity like this. You never know, we weren't exactly looking. And so I came from a construction background, building movie sets, and just working day in, day out, kind of thinking there's got to be something better. There's got to be something better. And then one of the biggest things that stuck out to us was there was a system. There was a system that the leaders were showing us exactly what to do. There was resources, there were tools, and just simple, clear cut. This business, it's not easy, but it's simple.
Right.
It's clear, cut, and dry. The leaders will tell you exactly what to do, and you can just copy and steal that. And so one of the things that the main focus today that we wanted to share, and some of our guests here today that we're going to help interview, is we wanted to touch on one of, I think, our favorite. Is that safe to say? Would you say this is your favorite tool?
Oh, tool, absolutely.
Resource.
My favorite resource that the Alliance store offers. Absolutely.
I think so. And I'm gonna pull it up so that way, for those of you who have not seen this yet, this tool has been something for us that we have been using nonstop over and over again. Every day, have made it a habit. So if some of you have not seen this, what we're going to be talking about today is this activity book. Okay, I know we've had many top leaders. I remember Stephanie Rodriguez had talked about this back, I think, at our national convention in Dallas. And this is fun. I'm actually kind of glad they did this. I remember it used to be $9.99. Now it's $11.99, and I think it's all worth the extra $2, because you can go and use this resource right here, this tool, and spend $12 and be able to blow your business up by using this, by weekly tracking your numbers and by scheduling out your time. And one of the biggest things that sticks in my mind, I'm sure, hopefully everyone has heard Andy talk about this. And the first time I heard it, this phrase, I was like, wait, what is this? What is he trying to tell me? I love Andy's teaching because he has such a good way of teaching it. But the phrase is, you don't know how you look until you get your picture took. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, hold on, let me slow this down. It's like, kind of like, you don't know if you got food on your face unless, you look in the mirror or you get a picture taken of yourself. But when we're looking at our business, on the sales side, on the recruiting side, is we can look at our numbers and know exactly what we're projected to do or what we have done, right? And so what really hit me, if you all have been in the business, like if you're just getting started, or if you're already in a year or two, like hold on to these, because this is the coolest thing. I had an experience about, I don't know, what was this? Maybe about this was right before
Miami.
Right before Miami, right before family reunion. As good insurance agents, we were doing our own policy review on ourselves. We were pulling out our policies.
We didn't know where 3 of them were.
We might have had to call a few companies, but anyway, I had stumbled across an activity book that was our first year full-time in the business. VeRae started part-time. I had kind of like dabbled here and there, but our first year was 2020, COVID year. It was a mess. We got all that thrown on us. And that was really when I had actually started, for me on the selling side, had actually started to really focus and hone in, and hey, how can I grow my skills? I knew I'd come from a background where I had never sold anything or wasn't used to talking to people. So I knew I had to put in massive action to get better at this. So I pulled this activity book out, and I'm actually going to be able to share some of these screenshots of it. And I had gone back and I had realized, one, how bad I sucked. It was, so for those of you out there thinking, oh man, your first week was down in the dumps, don't worry about it. We've all been there. And so I had just looked, and I'd looked at the history in the past, and I'm so glad I was tracking my numbers, because it had shown me the growth. It had shown me that just with a 6-week time frame, what I was able to accomplish by staying consistent. And in turn, it kind of like light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my gosh, are we teaching our friends to do the same exact thing? Are we teaching them to track their activity and to review it weekly and to go back over, 6 weeks, 90 days, a quarter, and see what we've done to grow and see how we can improve? And so I thought it was pretty cool being able to find this, because it just kind of blew my mind. And so I think, let's see here. Here it is. So these are actual screenshots. This was back in 2020. And right now, when I look at these numbers, if we can see,
note. Dial when dial time. I will help these people. I will not give up.
anything it took. I'd do anything it took to get good at this thing. But, I just started to look at these bottom numbers here on the totals on the left side of the page. High dial counts, high contacts, lower appointments, okay, in the beginning. Not terrible, but lower appointments. And I remember tracking my activity. One story that I will always stick in my mind was Joseph Dukes. And, he explained why we track our activity is so that way we can see where we need to get better. And I remember the first time, I started dialing, and I had about 18 contacts and maybe 1 or 2 appointments. And the mistake I made, I had not called him for coaching. And I remember he told me, he was like, what happened to the golden rule of 3 contacts, no appointment, reach out and call? And he said, if VeRae hasn't killed you by now, I'll make sure I get there and I'll do it for her. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So just the importance and the urgency of tracking our numbers and reviewing it. And so I went from, having 8 appointments, 0 apps, high dial counts, high contacts, appointments getting a little bit better. Hey, snuck in an app here, right? The following week, again, what I started to see was a trend, is the consistency. And because I was able to track my numbers, I knew where I was growing, right? I knew that as I was making more phone calls, my booking ratio was better. So now, 17 and 9, a little over 50%. And it started to show with writing more applications. The following week, way over 50%, higher app count, 6 apps, over 3,200. And I just started to get that belief. And it was crazy because I just started to see the growth over the consistency of 6 weeks. Again, appointments, apps written. And then I started to see, over 6 weeks, I started to see how much I was able to grow, and to where I could be on track to make 42 calls, talk to 16, book 14 appointments, and write 6 apps. I was like, wow, that's a huge difference from my first week to 6-7 weeks later. And I just wouldn't have been able to know if I hadn't been tracking my activity. So the big thing is again, coming back to like what Andy says, we don't know how we look until we get our picture took. We know when we look at these numbers, if we have a low dial count, it says it in the green book. If we've got a low dial count, then the work ethic isn't there. If we've got a high dial count but low contacts, maybe we're not calling 3 times in a row. Maybe we're not calling at the right time of the day. Maybe we got high contacts but low appointments. We just need to get better on the phones. We got high appointments and low sit ratio. We got to get better at tie downs. And if we got high sit ratio and low app count, low families helped, well, we need better in-home skills. So it's just the simplicity of the system on how we can help anyone just go in, look at their numbers, and by using this, not only just tracking them, but by reaching out for help. reaching out for coaching.
Yeah, and I think that's important. So as a new agent, we hire people on, and they see the success of Sarah Cipher a year in. They see the success of Mia Fennell. They see the success of Brian Rojas. But what they don't realize is that they've been doing it, 4 or 5 years. So what they expect, they want the same results, which I believe you should definitely strive for. You should strive for the same results, if not more, right? Because at the end of the day, who's not trying to get better, but they see their activity now, what it takes them to do their app count now, but they don't see the old Brian Rojas. They don't see the old Mia Fennell, the old Jake Joseph, the old VeRae Joseph, what they just look at. So I love it. I don't love it. This is why we're doing this call, but we have agents that come into our office and we're like, okay, first few dial sessions, and they make 35 dial, they see us now, to be clear now, the Jake and VeRae, again, 2020 first full-time year, we're 2023 now. They see us now, talking to 15 people, booking 12, 13 appointments. So they think it's going to be easy like that for them as well. And they're not giving themselves the time. So they show up at our office and they put in 50 dials. And they talk to, they have a high connect ratio because we start dialing right at 8 a.m. They talk to 15 people and they book 2 appointments, and they think that they're broken. They think that they're not going to be able to do this. They think that they're not going to be able to be as good as we are. But really, in reality, they're better than we were if they would just put in more activity, right? So if there's anything that this call is mainly focused on, it's just helping new agents understand that it's going to take time. And, you can't look at Mike and Noel's business the way that they are now and be a brand new agent, 6 months in and frustrated why your team's not doing $800,000 a month. Right. So to be clear, you can move quickly. You can move very quickly. Diane Lampy, cleared $1 million her first full-time year with the Alliance. So don't limit yourself, but also give yourself time to grow. Talk with your growing upline. Give people a chance to win. I think as leaders, sometimes the money is great. And we, where we're at now as leaders, we want people to make that money, but we're not giving them the time to grow. We're not showing them the example of what it's going to take now versus what it took us back then. So if that makes sense. But I think it all starts with having a goal in mind as well. You don't know what activity you need to do until you know where you want to be, right? So I think Jake was going to share something that
like on a one track. We got like ESPN. We've been together since together 11 years. We kind of have.
No, we've been together like 12 and a half. That's okay. All
right, we're getting there. It's kind of like you've been together with someone long enough, you start thinking the same, and I love it because literally I was just about to pull this up. So keep talking.
Yeah, but you don't know what your activity should look like until you know what goals you have, right? Without a vision, you will perish, right? So take a look at this, guys. This helps us. This is what we come back to every single week as we're lead planning with our agents. I know we've got leaders on our team stepping up, that we've got one of them on this call today that she's going over this with her agents, which is why she's grown so quickly. But ask yourself, how much do you want to make this week? Okay. So if you guys don't know this tool, it used to be in the front of the activity books. It's on the Alliance Resource Center, right?
You can find it on Advanced Resources, Alliance Universe, income planning sheet.
Yeah, so ask your upline about this, the income planning sheet, okay? So whatever your goal is, so you see how much do you want to make? Choose your week, $500 this week, $1,000 this week, $2,000, $3,000, and it'll break it down. It'll show you, again, starting from the bottom of this page, if you look here, it shows, okay, this is going to be how much lead investment I need to make for this week. So let's say you want to make $500. It's clear cut. Okay, I'm going to need to spend about $100 in leads. I'm going to need to make a minimum of 100 dials. Again, a minimum. Okay, now you could luck out your first dial session and kill it on the phones, and you might be really good on the phones the first time. But these are minimums, and I always tell agents as we're helping coach them, because I know what this was like for us. Whatever these numbers say, be prepared to put in double the work for the results you want. Okay, so if you want to make $500 this week, be prepared to put in a minimum of 200 dials. This is as you become, as you get better, as you go along in this business, then these are going to be numbers that become more relevant. But I always am telling people, whatever you want to make, whatever the activity says, just double it. And then if you double it and you come out ahead, awesome. But if you double it and you broke even, perfect. Now we're going to get better next week.
Yeah. And really, like when I see this, I see the numbers, this automatically takes me to the left side of that activity book. Okay. So again, reminder, left side of the activity book is where we track our numbers, but then you've got the right side, which is where you plan your week, right? If you haven't heard this, proper planning prevents poor performance. VeRae and I we've just made it a habit. And I'll be honest, we're definitely not perfect. VeRae might be perfect. I'm not perfect, right? No. So anytime, like, it's happened, we've slipped up. We haven't scheduled a week. It's been empty, okay? And that just causes confusion. If we have confusion, we're not moving. We're sticking the mud if there's confusion. So we want to create clarity. We want to create focus. So when I see that income planning sheet, yes, it tells me the activity that we've got to do, tracking our numbers and dials and so on. And it also tells us what we have to have time-wise. Like for 100 dials, we should be making no less than 35 dials an hour, okay? So for one, if we need 100 dials, that's at least, let's just call it 4 hours. Let's just say 4 hours of dial time. So if you look at your activity book on the right side of Sunday through Saturday, and you don't have at least 4 hours of scheduled dial time, I'm sorry, but you're SOL. Like, you have to give yourself a fair shot. You have to give yourself a shot. You have to give yourself a chance to be able to put in the activity to reach those numbers, right? So that's the big part, is not only is it tracking the activity and tracking the numbers, but it's also scheduling. Okay. I'm not going to go off on a tangent and talk about how we schedule and so on. That could be a whole nother call, but using this to know when you're doing it. Okay. When you're scheduling, or when you're making your phone calls, when you're running your appointments, that's another thing. Using this activity book, it is I'm sure if you talk to any of our team, they could probably tell you, but it's a huge pet peeve for us is, hey, what's your appointment goal? Well, I'm going to book as many as I can. And I'm like, that's great. But what's our appointment goal? Because we want to see how many we have for, if we're dialing Monday, how many we have time for Tuesday. Let's block them out, because it's a physical thing. You can see it. So, if it's 5 p.m., and you still have 2 empty slots,
you're not done dialing.
You're not done dialing. That's going to be like a scratch you've got to itch. You're like, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get this out of the way. It'll push you to fill your calendar, because we know that when we're not in front of people, we're not making money. When we're in front of people, we're helping families, we're making money. So we need to make sure we have a full schedule. What else you got on this side?
Well, I'm going to second that. Just if you have an empty slot and you've put in your 4 hours of dialing and you've made your 100 dials, don't quit, guys. Like, that's just that income planning sheet is a guide for you. But really, we need to be doing whatever we can to hit our goals. So I will give a shout out to our buddy Drew Chavez, who was here dialing with us yesterday. And, it's always that last couple of appointments that you're just like fighting to get. And so he turns to me and says, all right, he says, I'm booking this appointment or I'm getting hung up on, but I'm not hanging up on this person. He gets hung up on. He's all right, VeRae, I'm booking this appointment. They're not hanging up on me. He gets hung up on again. But just that persistence of knowing he had a goal, he was going to fill his schedule, that goes a long way. So
yeah. I know before we get up a couple of our guests, the last thing that just when it comes to this activity book, Joseph Dukes, this is always stuck in my head, is it's simple enough. It's simple and easy enough to do, but it's also simple and easy enough not to do. So just as easy as it is to go in and make a tally each time you click the green button, or as easy as it is to sit down on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning and plan out your next week, it's also easy enough not to do. It's easy enough to just kick your feet up and go. And the difference is that planning. Andy, it was crazy when I was talking to Andy once, and he was talking about work, and just by him going through his schedule and putting new things in his schedule in the next weeks, months, 90 days, what have you, he considered that work. And I was like, wow, that's crazy to think, but it's so true because of the impact it has. I mean, go in and look. I guarantee if you use this, if you're not, I'm telling you, you need to go use it. Okay. If you are using it, go back and find a week where you had a lot of white space. Go back and find a week where you hadn't really planned and you just flew by the seat of your pants, and compare it to a week where you had used that right side of the activity book, where you filled it up. It's highlighted, it's scribbled on. I guarantee you the top producers who are using these, and I know they all are, this thing is torn to shreds. That little thing that holds it together, that plastic curly cue, that thing's falling off, coffee spilled all over it, pages folded, sticky notes hanging out the side, all written up like crazy. That's how you know that's work. That's showing us that there's work. But hey, we've got some good buddies on here on the call, so we wanted to be able to bring up a couple of our guests. First that we want to bring up is our buddy Chris Nelson. Can we get Mr. Chris here on?
Hey,
how you doing? The famous Jake and VeRae.
Yeah, getting there. How's it going, Chris? Thank you for being on. We appreciate you.
I am honored to be here. Love
it. Well, hey, we know you're just coming on strong as a rookie here with Mike and Noel's team, and so give us an idea. Give us like high level background, family, what you had done before this.
Okay. Again, my name is Chris Nelson. I was brought on by Maria Simpson and part of Mike and Noel's team. I do want to take the time out to thank Andy and Miss Jane. I want to thank Mike and Noel. I want to thank you, Jake and VeRae. And then my background. I'm a 20-year Army veteran, worked in the medical field all my life. So I always liked helping people. Then I got a chance to get into this business. I started with the Alliance in November of 2022. I have a beautiful wife, Devonna. We've been married. It'll be 23 years in October. I have 3 adult children that I'm super proud of, Marquez, Kenyon, and Levantre. And I'm just excited to be here, excited about what this opportunity is going to take me and my family to.
Awesome. Well, hey, I know we'll get to share with the country what you've been doing to kick butt and take names in this business, and how you've grown so quickly. So, talking about the activity book, tracking our numbers, scheduling, and so on. First things first for you, Chris. Again, remind us, how long have you been with us now?
I started in November.
So back in.
So not even a full year.
Not even a full year. Okay, got it. So first things first, what is tracking your numbers? What does tracking your activity do for you? How does that help you?
Well, it's allowed me to reach the goals that I want to accomplish, right? So I set goals, and in order to achieve those goals, you got to work, right? You got to put in the activity to do that. And then tracking that activity allows me to see, am I just doing stuff? How am I analyzing and being efficient with that activity, that work that I'm doing? And a good example of that is just this week, right? So I had, the past couple of months, I was in the top 10 producers. So I was like, I'm doing really good. I'm getting the hang of this. I'm excited about that, right? And I go to make calls on Monday, and I'm calling people, and I call, and they're like, no, and I call again. They're like, I'm not interested. Then I make an appointment. I'm like, okay, I didn't get the 3 in a row. So then I start calling again, and I get 3, and I'm like, oh, no, we're not doing this. So then I'm like, okay, what's the system say? So the system says if you get 3 contacts, no appointment, start calling. So I start calling people. I just go down. I'm calling everybody in my phone. No one's answering. And then I call Kevin. And when he answers the phone, I treat him like he's an appointment. I'm like, Kevin, this is Chris from the Benefit Center. Just give me a call. And he starts laughing. He's like, okay, look, tell me what's going on. And we talk about the appointments. And he gives me some great advice. And then we hang up, and I think I made 12 connects, and I scheduled 10 appointments from that. So it was like, look at the system, like it's working, do what you're supposed to do. And I will admit, like, you know, I was feeling like, okay, I got this on the wraps. I'm not going to need any coaching. I'm going to have this. And it was a way of humbling me. And then I used the system, and it helped me get back on track and kind of reach my goals for the day. So I was really excited about that.
I love that. And just so you guys know, and we're going to definitely ask some more questions, but credibility purposes, I mean, Chris, let's go over with people, like, what have been these, let's just go in the last 90 days, you know, May, June, July, like what has been your issue paid business in the month of May? Okay,
so in the month of May, I issued about $7,725.
Okay, awesome. And what about June?
In June, my best month was $20,141.
There you go.
Okay, and what about July?
July was $15,728.
Okay. So for those of you watching, this isn't a, you know, $3,000 a month producer that we're asking to have on. Now, he's grown from that, to be clear, but, you know, just to give you guys an idea of where Chris is at in this business, you know, the kind of numbers that he's putting up on the board, you know, because, I mean, he's a credible source. You know, we want new people to look at you and say, okay, he's been in this business since November. I'm brand new. You know, is that realistic for me? Am I going to be able to get there? But I just love, you know, as I was talking to you last night, as you shared that story, I mean, had you not been using the system, had you not been using your activity book and, hey, I got 3 connects, no appointment, you know, you wouldn't have reached out. And who knows, you might have booked a few more appointments that day. You know, I'm not saying that you wouldn't have booked any, but, you know, out of 12 connects, 10 appointments, that's pretty strong. And that's, you know, I think that's directly a direct correlation of you using that left side of that activity book and just, you know, following that system.
Yeah, it just screams, because, like, again, it's, you know, how hard was it for you to make your little tallies, right? I mean, that's easiest thing in the world, right? It's nothing compared to what you had did in the military background, right? Making those little tick tick. But the crazy part is it just reminds me of what Mark Aceta has taught us, right? It's not so much that knowledge is power, it's the application of that knowledge. So it's just like when it comes back to this. So Chris, with you using, I love this, and I want to slow down for a quick second on it so people don't overlook it. Again, yeah, Chris he's tracking his activity. That's the start. And he's using his track record. He saw that he had 3 in a row and no appointment. He's using that to reach out and get coaching. He's using that to reach out and to get better. So that's why, like, I'm sure we've all heard of the examples of athletes, you know, hey, why do athletes track their stats? Is so they know where they're at and they can get better. And the other thing I really don't want to overlook either is, Chris, you said the fact, your goals, right? I mean, is there any way of telling, Chris, if you're hitting your goals, if you're not tracking your numbers, what you've done dial-wise or issue paid or? No,
it's a direct correlation. I mean, when you put in the work, like I said before, you have to put in the work to reach those goals. Like, so, you know, I kind of reverse plan it, right? What do I want to accomplish? And then figure out what I need to do to get there. And part of that, you got to make dials, right? You got to make dials, make appointments. And then you want to do that efficiently. You don't want to just be calling, being on the phone, not being productive. And so you have to track that. You have to track your efficiency and how well you're doing it. And the activity book, I mean, it's like, if you told me that I could invest $12 into something and it could make me 6 figures, I would say, give me 100 of them, right? And so, yeah, it's one of the best tools that the Alliance have. Absolutely.
Good.
Awesome.
Good. I love it.
I know you shared something with me last night as well that really stuck out to me that I would love to go over with you. So you had mentioned we got back from Miami because you were in family reunion, right? We're all fired up out of our minds coming out of Miami, right? You mentioned that you had listened to the TWC that Alex Avian and Adam Katz had put on, right? So you can share with people, like, and it's not that you weren't being 100% at it, but maybe there was, you know, maybe you were letting it slide a few times, you know, with calls like this every week. But if you can share with people what you heard and what you started using on the right side of your activity book, you know, that actual schedule.
Yeah. So, you know, I was going through making my schedule, and if I had, time during the week for the TWC or the product call or the activity call today, then I would do it. But it wasn't like I wasn't blocking it off my schedule. And, I had read the book, the 8 Steps to Success, and attend all the meetings. And then I was listening to Adam and Alex, and Adam says, this is one of those meetings you need to attend. And I was like, you're right. And so then I just started blocking it off. So now when, I'm talking to a client and they're like, it's 10 o'clock on Friday available, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm helping another family. Now the family happens to be me and my Alliance family, but they don't need to know that. They just know I'm helping a family at 10 o'clock on Friday. And so I'm not available, or 12:30 on Wednesday. So I blocked it off. And I want people to know that, yes, it doesn't seem like sitting here and listening, making an appointment, maybe an addition to your business, but hearing these nuggets actually multiply your business. So I would much rather get this information and let it multiply my business than go to one appointment and add to my business. And I think these activity calls and the TWC and all that does that.
So you're using that right side to make sure that you're putting your oxygen on first. You're helping yourself first. And the crazy part is that we've got them already blocked out in the book. So you can go grab your book. Now for East Coast people, it's super easy. Right. All you maybe got to do is put some pretty little, maybe some dark pen and just really highlight it. Now, if you're Central Time, I'm sorry. If you're Mountain Time, Pacific Time, we got to work a little bit harder. We got to move it up the time level just a little bit and
a little mad.
Cross out that gray area and put our other appointments in there. But it's worth it. Okay, that little bit of extra effort is worth it. Okay, that's huge. Yeah, thank you for sharing that because. Again, I don't want to get too much into scheduling, but I mean, that sounds like you're putting some big blocks in first when you're planning and using your schedule to make sure come heck or high water that you've got these big calls on. So, let's see.
So I think, tell us a little bit, where are you at for Alaska? So we just announced some new winners this morning. I know Andy Riddle had touched on them on Wednesday as well, but I know we're super excited for you because we were talking about this last night. So where are you tracking for Alaska right now? So as everybody knows, we need 250,000 points to get to Alaska, okay? Dollar for dollar.
Yeah, so right now I am at 240 for 11 for Alaska, so I'm excited. And this month is actually my birth month, so I said a gift to myself would be an all-expense paid trip to Alaska that I could earn. So that's my goal, is I want to earn the trip by my birth month. That's another one of my goals that I had wrote down. And so I'm excited about that. I think I have the opportunity to do it. I'll just keep putting my head down and going to work and doing the things, and we'll see.
Happy birthday. I don't know when it is. Happy birthday.
Yeah. So and coming back to numbers, I mean, you don't know how you look until you get your picture took. I mean, you know exactly what your numbers are for this contest, for earning this all expense paid trip for the Alaskan cruise. So that's huge. I don't know. You probably write it down somewhere other than the Ark, I'm sure. So you're probably watching that thing. I know we've got on the Ark, we've got the chart.
Yeah, I'm sending it to my wife every now and then. Like, look, we're almost there.
Oh man, I love it. Well, hey, we appreciate you, Chris. There was some huge pieces in there, how you're using the book. So thank you for sharing those stories. Thank you for being transparent. And we hope to hear, we're going to be listening for your name over this next week and the following week to hear whoever's hosting the next calls, to hear them announce your guys' name. So we're fired up for you.
Awesome. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, we are super excited. You guys know her name. You saw her get her ring on stage in Miami. If we can, you guys, please bring up Miss Sarah Cipher out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. There we go. Hey, what's going on, Sarah?
Good morning, sweet friend. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome. Things are going well over here.
Good. Well, hey, we know when I was talking about when I was talking about this thing being all torn to shreds, and you've probably got like Play-Doh in between the pages from the kids and bubble gum, and I'm sure they've gotten a hold and made some Picasso masterpieces on yours as well. But share with us, a little bit about yourself, about the kiddos, about Pablo, what you were doing before this. Give us real high level.
Yeah, so my name's Sarah Cipher. I'm born and raised in the land of enchantment, good old Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have 3 little boys under the age of 6, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Before finding the Alliance, I was a healthcare provider. I worked as a dental hygienist for 11 years. I look at dentistry as a complete blessing. It's the silver lining with it all is if I wouldn't have become a dental hygienist, I wouldn't have met Miss VeRae Joseph. And ultimately, I wouldn't be sitting here today in this chair talking to you all and serving the team. So let's see. Husband, Pablo Cipher, he's an attorney out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So he's super busy, has goals on his end. And yeah, just busy with the kiddos, busy with the business. Excited to just grow this thing. So this is my rookie year with the Alliance. I started last spring. So just getting my feet wet and we're just getting started. So
good deal. I love it. Well, so again, we know that you use this. We've seen yours. We physically laid eyes on it. And see how you put this tool, this resource of the activity book to work. And we've seen it pay off for you. I mean, in the last year, what we've seen growth-wise and how you've worked not only smart, but also hard at the same time. So give us an idea. I know for you, it wasn't maybe the most like perfect weekly schedule, but give us like an idea of how this helped you with the time that you had on hand, how much time you were able to put in the field when you first started, and what you were able to get done by having this to keep you focused and organized.
Yeah, so when I first started with the Alliance, I was obviously still practicing as a hygienist, and so I was doing this extremely part-time. About a half day a week, 1 day a week is what it equated to. And when I decided to leave dentistry, I started being able to do this 2 days a week. So isn't that amazing? That's a lot of time. I got 16 hours to do this. That's awesome. So now I'm running business 2 days a week. I'm 2 days in the field. I get to help families 2 days a week, which totally fires me up. But yeah, the activity book is, to me, Jake, I love that your beaver comes out with this thing because I think that it's the backbone to my business. This little $11, $10 book. I mean, I have 3 of them. Yes, I've spilled coffee on every single one of them. Yes, the little binder is falling apart, but it's just this thing is everywhere. It serves many purposes for me. This activity book for me, Jake and VeRae, it forecasts how much earning potential that I have for the week. So the left side of the book, yes, that's my activity, but I don't even really need to worry about the right side as much. I'm like you guys, like if I'm in front of the family, I'm going to serve them. So the left side is going to show me how much money I'm going to make in the field. So that's one of the things. It also represents what I'm doing with my time and how I can be more efficient with my time. Being a working mama, it's crucial, but you give a mother 16 hours, she's going to work those 16 hours. So, and then the white spaces, if I find any white spaces within my activity book, those are all rooms for opportunity. Whether that be on the building side or the growing side or, logging when I'm reading, anything like that. So I try to just fill this thing up. And also it's a visible outline for my team. I think it's really important to not just keep this thing a secret. Now that I'm growing this thing bigger than just myself, I share this schedule with my team. I take a picture of my activity book and it's being shared with my entire team and vice versa. Kinley Lamar, she sent me a text yesterday. She had that thing filled up. She has all her calls written out. She has she's bringing a team to go see Andy. She has her dials logged out. She has her appointment slots logged out. And that's just something that it brings a ton of joy to my heart because, you know, I did the same thing with you when I first started with both of y'all. So
tell us though, on the left side, obviously, is our activity side. That's where we track our dials, how many appointments we got, and share with us. I think we talked about it yesterday, but share with everyone. I know there's a story between a conversation that between you and VeRae, and it was kind of like a aha moment almost. And it really, from what I understand, it kind of all started because you were tracking your numbers in the activity book, right? So I think you know which one I'm talking about. Share a little bit on that and how that kind of helped switch things up with how you guys were reviewing your numbers.
Yeah, so when I first started out, I was doing this extremely part-time, just kind of, you know, like a half day a week. I'd start at 9 and I'd end at 12. That's all I could give this business, right? But my goals were aligning with my activity. And I found that out very quickly after a sweet conversation with Miss VeRae. I had 3 appointments booked.
For the week, guys.
Yeah, for the week. I had 3 appointments booked between 9 and 1 o'clock. And I got no-showed on 2. I sat 1. And I was confused at why I was not making the money that I wanted to make.
She was like, why didn't I make $500 this week?
Right. So, I mean, love VeRae. I love that she's just direct and she can be direct with me. She's like, that's cute. You just got to book more appointments. So the cool thing about the Alliance, I'm with Jake and I'm with you, VeRae. They already have a well-oiled system and that's amazing. I don't have to recreate it. I just have to, like, for me, it's like mastering the mundane and making it fun. I think the mundane can be boring, but I think if you just find some way, I remember Jake telling me he'd throw a ball against the wall while he was dialing in between, or get some good music on in the background, whatever it may be. But for me, I like to look at it now as just like a game. Like VeRae said, she's like, that's cute. You just need more appointments. That's it. You're good with people. You just need more appointments. That's all. No big deal. So for me, it's like I dial, I connect, I book, I sit, I get points, tokens, praises, and the more gas I put on the fire, the quicker I can get to the castle. I saw my little ones bust out the Super Mario console last week, and I don't know, that it just came to my mind, like they're getting tokens and their goals to get to the castle. And I like to look at this as just like a video game.
Oh, that's why you texted me that the other day. She's on something. I didn't know. She said, isn't this business cool? It's like you eat a mushroom and you get bigger. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But so, I get it now.
Like we know, I mean, in your first, I mean, on a part-time basis, running a day, maybe a day and a half, started to get into while you're still working part-time. You know, you earned your first all-expense paid trip to Ireland, right? We had a blast out there. So we definitely know that this resource, the activity book, I just got a live update. I think we've sold 9 activity books already to this second. So let's run up that score. Let's buy them all out. Let's have them make sure they get some more, because these, you get them for yourself, for your team, and so on. But Sarah, you have gone from a brand new agent within a year, 12 months, being qualified district manager and growing. Okay.
Doing this, to be clear, I don't mean to interrupt you, but doing this 3 days a week, really, now that you're full time, because your goal, and that's something that Jake and I've always wanted to support you with. When you came into this, you were very clear that your goal is to still be that stay-at-home mom, with your 3 boys. So I want people to be clear on, she's always working. She's always on the phone with her teams, but to be clear, this is something that she's still doing. Her part-time is her full-time, if that makes sense for those that are listening in. So share, you've had amazing growth on the selling side, but you've also had an amazing growth on your business side too, and helping your people and helping them grow on their personal production. So share with us, with tracking numbers and with using the right side to schedule our week, how are you using this activity book, this resource, to help your new people grow? How to get them moving quickly with reviewing their numbers and planning? What are you doing there?
So I'm doing exactly what y'all did with me from the very beginning. Our very first, meeting was breaking down the schedule and blocking out our A, B, C, D activities. So that was huge. And it was huge for people that were coming on part-time. I think you can find a lot more time than they think, to be honest. So even though it's full-timers, there's a lot more time than you think. I had a conversation with a girl on the team just yesterday. I only have, I got to hit 7,600 this week. And I'm like, whew, well, you got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. So I just think like from the growing side, just the numbers are huge, right? I think a lot of people that they can just get nervous. They don't really want to share their numbers. They're nervous about them. They don't want to share their numbers. They don't give accurate numbers. It takes them 5 minutes to say they dialed one appointment and they went and had lunch and everything's a story of just what are your numbers, right? And I think just for me, Jake and Ray, just from the beginning, like it has been one thing that I've been 100% transparent with the team is we want you to win. We want every single person on the team to win. We know how this thing works, right? And if you're not being transparent with your numbers from the left side of the activity book, how are we supposed to help you? Right. And if you're fudging these numbers, how are we supposed to help you? Because it's just as confusing to us if you're fudging the numbers. Well, that's interesting. So you said you had 7 appointments. Like, this isn't adding up, right? So and I think that's one thing that Jake, when we had those lead planning days when I was first starting, like I called you up the other day and I said, Jake, called you on a Sunday. I miss you calling me for lead planning. He's like, you need me? I'm like, no, but I miss hearing you on a Sunday. So I don't know, just being transparent with the left side. And one thing that I love that Mike and Noelle hit big on is on our private Facebook page, we post our numbers every single Sunday. That is the expectation. Every single person on the team, Sunday morning, I'm like, hey, you need to get your numbers together. What are your numbers? Because I know for me, when VeRae invited me into this business and she like connected me with all the resources, I was stalking those things. I was looking at the leaderboards. I was looking at the charts. I was looking at the Facebook page. I had no idea what AP, SIT, Connect. I had no idea what that meant. But what I did know is that y'all weren't hiding stuff. You were a transparent company. And I came from a very transparent company when I worked in the dental field. We were an open book company. We shared ROI. We shared numbers. We shared salaries. So when I found that, okay, basically this is like a system and a system that's working and everyone's transparent with their activity, with their paychecks, with the leaderboards, that was huge to me as a new person. And it's still huge to me as I'm growing. So
I love that. And for those of you who are listening, so, feel free to do that on the Alliance Facebook group as well. I think Mike and Noelle have built an amazing culture within our team. And I know there's other leaders out there who've done the same thing. But, that's what we always used to do, right? We were posting our numbers. Well, we kind of started for Jake and I, not Sarah. We kind of started steering away from that, not because we weren't doing the activity, not because we didn't have the time. It wasn't in our schedule. If I'm being transparent, we stopped putting that in our schedule. It started slipping our mind. And one thing that we saw was Sarah's team growing so quickly, right? And it's like that, you light a match on fire, then you put it upside down. And Jake and I are like, oh God, we got to start building another leg here, right? So thank you for being that fire in the basement for us, But that was one thing that we saw her doing every week was being transparent with her numbers. And we kind of had to ask ourselves, why did we steer away from that? I remember Mike even, on a call with us, he was just like, I don't know exactly what he said, but it hurt my feelings. But it only hurt my feelings for a second, because then I was like, okay, yeah, we gotta be transparent. We gotta post our numbers because new people are looking at that, right? I know I looked at that consistently as I was getting started. I think so. Share for the team. So I know you've got some pretty big goals, you know, as far as what you want your team to be doing. And so again, for those of you who don't know, qualified district manager, she's hit recognized RM, didn't qualify it for it, but that's okay. She's knocking on the door of it. So what are some of your goals here in the next 90 days? I know, you know, with Breakthrough, you've shared some big goals for us. So what are some of your goals that you have here in the next 90 days?
So the next 90 days, definitely want to help, pops 2 agency managers within my team. And there's 2 people in particular that are on track to do that. And then my goal is to bypass RM and hit, VP.
I love that. I love that. So bypass RM and hit VP. Cool. Yeah, I know it's definitely doable. You know, she's working, she's sharing her activities, she's being, you know, transparent with everything. What else did we have for her, Jake? I know you lit us up like the 4th of July. So
yeah, I love it. I love it because it's huge that you're not only using it for your own self to help you on your selling side and just keeping your week organized and focused and know what you're doing. But the fact that, you know, we've learned it at these events, you know, teaching others how to teach, you know, I might have it a little bit mixed up, but Mike Garrett talks about once you can teach others how to teach, you can go to the beach. Right.
Ooh.
So yeah, no, it's pretty good.
I like that.
He does a good job of it. So like, you know, seeing what you're doing, Sarah, is you're teaching others how to use this. And it's all about, you know, we go from adding to multiplication. We go from playing checkers to playing chess and then to 3D chess. You know, you're teaching other people how to do it. And now it's like, hey, who do we have? Which of your people can go and start teaching others how to use this just the way you taught them? So, because I mean, this is a backbone, you know, again, I love it. I say it so many times, I'll say it over and over again, but we don't know how we look until we get our picture took. You know, if someone comes, you and I both know this, Sarah, but we talked about it yesterday. We all have it. I've been here. You know, I've been in this spot where I'm like, this isn't for me. This isn't working. Oh my gosh. I don't know. This is impossible, blah, 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 blah. And you and I both know we can just ask them, hey, send me the last 6 weeks of your activity book. Let's take a look.
Right.
And we can figure out, we can pinpoint, we can diagnose what exactly is going on.
One thing that I also love about the activity book is you can log your recruiting side, so your building side. That bottom left corner is awesome. Keeps you on track. Because people want to grow, right? They start seeing the vision, they start making money. But I think on the building side, it's like you have agents that are talking to people about the opportunity, leisurely talking to people about the opportunity, right? But I think it's big, and this is one thing that Mike and Noelle have taught me is, are you tracking your numbers there? You know, right. Because if you're not tracking how many people that you're talking to about the business, and you're not tracking if you have a bam bam with that person, if you're not tracking how many of those people that you bam bam you're getting into class and how many people from there are getting contracted, how are we supposed to coach you there? Because maybe it's just an adjustment of you're not supposed to be presenting, you're supposed to be inviting, right? It just, you know, maybe you are talking to a lot of people, but maybe you're saying the wrong thing, right? So I do like that little section of the activity book as well. So
I love that. And yeah, I know, and not to shift gears because I know this call, but that's one thing that Mike has taught us as well. Just as you're a new agent and you're trying to learn how to make some sales and you're calling your upline 24/7 until you figure this thing out, that's what we should be doing on the building side. We should be calling our upline, throwing people up at them, you know, constantly asking for help on that. So yeah, I think that's big for sure. Let's see.
Thank you for being visible.
Yeah.
I know it's helping. I know it's helping. Your team is growing. I know everyone, like, you know, I know Mike and Noel have the Facebook page, but I know by you being visible, it's helping others. So I think by all of us coming together, by everyone being visible, like what Sarah said, creating that culture of the transparency and showing others, hey, this is how it's done. We're not hiding anything. This is what it looks like. This is how the system works. So we appreciate you, Sarah, for being visible and sharing all this today.
So for you new folks on here, maybe you've been on here for a minute, but things aren't going like you thought they should be going at this point. I would challenge you to reach out to your growing upline. Talk to them about your activity. Let's give it another, 90-day run, a 6-week run. Talk to them about that. So we can be hitting our goals on the sales side. I know as leaders, we all want to be helping our uplines. And our uplines want to do everything that they can to help us, because not until we win do they win. So I would definitely challenge you, get your activity book. It is a key part of this business. Reach out to your growing upline, talk to them about, okay, what's my schedule this week? Maybe just start there. What's my schedule these next 3 days? And then my next 3 days after that. But if you can give yourself a 6-week window, a 6-week run, as we would call it. I mean, you guys saw Jake's numbers. He went from almost 300 dials with 0 apps at the end of the week to 300 dials with 1 app to, 180 dials with 3 apps. And it was a snowball effect from there. But, we're super grateful. Again, thank you, Andy and Jane. And, thank you to the Gonzalez, Dukes, Leventovich, Avian organization that we're all get to be a part of. Without you guys, that none of this is possible. So we're super grateful for you guys. We're excited. We're just getting started here. We always tell people we're just getting started. Sarah Cipher's just getting started. Chris Nelson's just getting started. We've got a long way to go. So thank you guys so much. But we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, go get them. We're signing off. Thank y'all.